So, a family who was crossing the border from the United States into Canada in Quebec had to be rescued on Thursday night. And it's really sad because I think all this happened at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And thankfully, there are border control guards out there and RCMP out there because it took them like an hour to find these people. And I was reading the story about it. And basically, no cars were able to get into this wooded area in Quebec. So these people who were not prepared for winter basically walked across the border from the United States into Canada, into Quebec, into a wooded area. They had to cross a river and they lost their shoes during all of this. I mean, that doesn't sound like very much when you just think about, oh, they had to walk bare feet. But then you have to remember it's winter still in Canada. So can you imagine they were walking barefoot, wet, with two toddlers, and the toddlers weren't dressed properly for the weather either. And so, yeah, walking through all of this, they had hypothermia. And the police said when they rescued them, they had to put, I think, the mother on a sleigh to bring her out there because they couldn't bring cars in. It took an hour to find them. So I guess what happened was the mother called 911 and stayed on the phone with the 911 operator. And basically they had to put her on a sleigh and then help the father and carry the children out because they couldn't get vehicles in to the forest. And think about it, they weren't dressed properly. They didn't have shoes and the kids weren't dressed properly either. And it's winter. It's like freezing cold. And basically the cops say in this story that they were frozen in place. They couldn't move. Hypothermia had set in. So I'm guessing they're in the hospital now. It's horrible. That's like my worst nightmare, to like freeze in place in winter and like lose all my fingers and toes to frostbite. Just really, really, really upsetting to think that these people risked everything to walk across the border and to freeze to death, basically, because they were just trying to retrace their own footsteps in the dark at 3 in the morning in Quebec in the forest. So just really, really crazy. I think they said this all happened on like Thursday night, so Friday morning maybe. Just like, oh my gosh, you're so desperate that that's what you're doing. And this is the worst time of year probably to do that, right? Because it's the coldest time of year. Man, have you heard of this?